year before the pandemic hit, I had done 80 trips around the world. Seattle was really struggling when we left. There were the race riots, COVID was really thick at that time. I was driving when I first got the phone call from Fiona. She was crying and she just said, "You have to come home." Hey, Anne. I was going over to an education conference in Sweden. So I stopped in Seattle and I happened to go to a meeting. This handsome man happened to be standing there.
She had this beautiful smile and just, the light was just shimmering off of her pretty much. It was like, hello. Knowing that she was from New Zealand was like, well, how logistically is this going to work?
And it wasn't until I became a teacher in the education system that I realised that I actually could do something differently in education. I worked with about 10 different countries working on whole system change through education. I work at a system level and I work with governments, I work with state leaders, I work with school systems. The year before the pandemic hit, I had done 80 trips around the world. We were basically in our condo for 5 months.
I began watching the worldwide news and saw how much of strife America was getting into and Seattle was getting into. And then one night I went to sleep. I woke up and I just had this overwhelming sensation and feeling that Joanne had to come home.
She was crying and she just said, "You have to come home." Mum wasn't well. My sister wasn't well. There were things that were starting to happen that I really needed to be taken care of, and it was sort of a really big wake-up call. Mum had dementia. She had been living in a rest home for a couple of years, and the last time before I went back to the States, she cried and she said to me, "I don't want you to see me like this in this room." And that just absolutely killed me. Okay, so this is the house we bought, and we wanted it to be a really big house because there's a lot in my family, but mostly because we wanted a place for Mum to be. Just a place where she could be resting and just have a place to spend her last days. We wanted to give her a place where she was surrounded by love. So I knew she wasn't well. I didn't know that she was going to die as fast as she did. That was something that we wanted to have a little bit more time with her. I give her a hug every now and then. We've chosen this container for her because she was totally into nature, totally into the lakes, totally into mountains. I'm incredibly sad to have lost her, and I could cry 1,000 times every day about it because she was, she's my mum. But I won't because she'll get from hit me. If we think about COVID being negative in loads and loads of ways, for us in some ways it actually made us come home. So it gave us the opportunity to be here and spend time with Mum. Big part of the reason coming home was to be with our whanau. To do that, there's no point living separately.
Darling, I have spinal cerebellar ataxia type 1, which is a very rare condition. What it does is it makes you age early and to affects your speech and your balance. Unfortunately, a few of us in our family got it from our father.
So I've already lost my dad, I've already lost my older sister. So a big driver of my life has been to make sure that I could support my whanau in a space that would be fitting for them. Wardrobe's full of all of my clothes still, so you just sit on the bed, and maybe if we just take some of the clothes out now. Okay. So Aaron's my younger brother. He's the 7th in the family of 7 kids. He also has the disability that our family has, and so we're really excited that he's going to come and live with us because then we can help take care of him and look after his needs.
Give that away to the Salvation Army. What about the vacuum cleaner? Are you giving that away as well?
Yes, I'm going to donate it to the school.
All the stuff here will probably find a new home somewhere. Be good. I feel like I'm a a burden to people, and it's a hard thing being that way, but it's just what it is, I suppose.
So my father passed at 59, and then my eldest sister passed at 59 also, and she spent the last years of her life in an elderly person's home, because in New Zealand we don't really have places for young people who have a disability to live. I'm really excited about you coming, because that means that we can have that intergenerational home that I really dreamed of having for us all.
Joanne has set up a farm in the South Island, and she is probably making a space for us all which we can enjoy the rest of our lives.
For me, love is extending yourself to someone, like what Jojo is doing to us right now. It's being surrounded with love, with the one you love, your family.
I think that going down south is going to certainly help me be a better person with my wife and my family and my whanau.
It'll be almost like having the whole family back together again. Be like when we were kids.
Yeah, that's right.
Have a kiss to Ella, and we'll see you on Monday and see her as soon as we can.
And this journey is pretty incredible for me as a mid-50s-year-old who's never been outside of his own country before. So I grew up in a town called Bellevue, Washington, which is right next to Seattle. There's the cows. Spent basically 50 years there doing accounting things and living in a 28th-story skyrise building, and not really having any grass to suddenly having 10 acres. I was like, well, it's my turn now, Joanne gave up her homeland for 9 years. Now it's time for me to come have a new adventure. Just have 4 cows, so we had 5. One of them passed away, unfortunately. Let's go. Big Red's the largest one, and he's a troublemaker. He likes to dart over the fence or do whatever. So that's why we're donating him to Stephen and Fiona for their wedding. Not too much longer, he's going to be dinner. So, steak. Come on this way. Let's go. It's really extraordinary to be here.
Go that
I feel
way.
privileged to be part of the New Zealand culture and getting to experience everything that makes my wife who she is.
This is one of my ancestors. This is Meri Wihikuri, and she's Waitaha, Ngaitahu, and Ngāti Mamoi. I didn't find out until I was a teenager that I was Māori. Mum raised us with all of the values of Māori, the spiritual values as well. She just didn't label them as that. I just thought Mum was a very spiritual person. In her day and in my day, it was knocked out of us, and especially because we were fair-skinned. It was like, don't be Māori, because it wasn't cool. As I've got older, I've understood that it's really important to know exactly where you come from and who you are and who are our ancestors and what did they go through. I'm off to the Ngaitahu headquarters to sort of talk about my whakapapa. Kia ora. And it's exciting. It's exciting. It's exciting because I'm thinking about my mum. And I wanted to take her to this meeting, but she died already. But she's with me.
So this is your family file, file 110. Now, these whakapapa were compiled in 1982.
So these are my aunties and uncles, which I all know.
And then if we continue through the book, so...
There I am.
The next section is whakapapa information that's been supplied by various members of the family. Compile whakapapa.
Oh, I've seen this before.
Yes, from...
This is the one that I grew up looking at.
Very gratifying to be able to look at this stuff and think, actually, I remember that name or that taua or that poa.
That's my mum's handwriting.
Is it?
Yeah, she didn't write that, but my mum wrote that to explain where it came from. My connection to being Waitaha, Ngāti Mamoi and Ngaitahu is 100% real. And the knowledge that I've held inside my body all of these years is real. And it's beautiful. All the stuff I'd heard was true. Some of the pieces of the paper there were written by Mum, some of my grandma. It was just really incredible. So it was like, wow, seeing everything. Yeah.
That's special.
So now the next step is to go and actually visit these runanga.
Absolutely.
To go back into your journey and to remember who you are, it's such a sense of freedom. It's like, thank you, I can finally do this and be me.
Identity.
Its identity is huge.
I learned about Joanne, when she was little, was a pain in the butt. We had 15 years and we absolutely hated each other, and I couldn't wait to see that Reverend to go to America as an exchange student. Then she came back a year later and I missed her terribly. I started boiling the second I saw her, and that was it.
Confirmed number of guests?
Well, therein lies the problem.
Thereabouts.
Hopefully about 70. A little bit depends on COVID because my brother's in Australia. Having Joe come home and set up this whanau community, it's just been amazing. Yay!
We'll look forward to the actual day now.
I'm so excited.
I have the opportunity to put my whānau first every day, yet I'm still running successful businesses. I'd never dreamt that that was possible while I was running around like a crazy woman. I am 100% happier now. I get to see people that I care about and love every day. I didn't get to have that because I was on a plane in a hotel room talking to people I didn't know, whereas here I get to see people who love me and I love every day. We're hardwired to be together. We're not hardwired to be apart. If you have good relationships, if you are surrounded by love, well, then you have a better life.
Love forever and ever and ever. Fiona and Stephen.